Welcome to this quick Kounteq webinar about some of the benefits of using the cloud, maybe what the cloud is, and what are the processes and features of having a cloud-based business. I know a lot of you may not know what the cloud is, or you may store some photos or stuff like that from your phone. You're not 100% sure on why the cloud is so important and why everyone's talking about it. What is the cloud? So the cloud is essentially a way of remotely storing information. This might be information in terms of the amount of stock you have, or your potential customers, keeping your website running. I mean, even fans. I mean, there's all these different ways that the cloud can benefit various different businesses. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that and try and incorporate that into your business as soon as possible, just to future-proof yourself and make sure that you're not left behind. As a little analogy, I've chosen transportation. So I like to think of it as we started off with horses. Horses were the most organic form of transport. If they weren't walking, that was the quickest way to travel. I think the equivalent of that is when people just sold from the back of their farm whatever they had to sell. So whether that's onions, potatoes, whatever, you just sold it, and if you made some money, that was ideal. A few thousand years later, obviously that changed, and people realized as a business scales, we need to be able to track losses, profits, where we did well, where we didn't do well. And the only way that was done really was through bookkeeping, through having pieces of paper, having different parts of the business segmented off. So you may have an accountant that runs the numbers, you may have a sales team that has a repertoire of different clients and contacts that they sell to regularly. So having everything on paper but segmented off into their own sections was in large part how businesses worked right up until about 20 years ago. Now I say 20 years ago just based on some quotes that I've seen. This is a nice quote of Steve Jobs that I've put on the screen here, and you can see that around 20 years ago people started to realize that having everything separated, even if it is on the computer, but not in one space, all in separate parts, not accessible from wherever you are, just wasn't an ideal way to do business. So they knew they had to change something about that. I don't even need to talk about the benefits of being able to work from any location right now. Obviously that's more important than ever, but we don't have to go into that. But there's all these benefits that people really started to realize about 20 years ago. So I'd say that the shift towards moving to cloud happened around then. We've obviously got that first kind of method where people just sold whatever they had in excess. So if they made extra potatoes, they sold those extra potatoes. After that, we had scaled businesses where they had to track and they had different parts of the business focused on different areas. I feel very much that now we live in a time where moving forward, having everything be accessible to everyone, or at least to whoever's running the business, is massively, massively important. Having an excuse or having the idea that, oh no, I couldn't access this part of the business, or that's not up to me. If you want to run a business in the most successful way possible, you need to be able to have a very simple overview of how it works. So having everything on the cloud essentially means that instead of having everything on paper, instead of having everything separated out, you have everything in one easy to use online space that is accessible from anywhere and is accessible by anyone. So that means even if you do decide to split up jobs and processes within your company, you can still have an overview and track that in a way that gives you a lot more control and a lot more flexibility. So I'll go back to the analogy now of we started with horses. That was the quickest way to kind of travel around. Then the car was invented, and you can see a very nice car, very old car. But unfortunately, that style of making cars is on the out. And here I've shown you a picture of a broken down car, and I think that represents businesses that haven't made that change yet. And I'd like to describe cloud in a way that it's the brand new, it's the Ferrari, it's the sports car of accounting, it's the sports car of marketing, of stock keeping, of everything. It's all in one. Back in the day, you had a horse that could travel, and then you might have had a car with, I don't know, if you were lucky, maybe a radio or some lights as well. So it became a multi-tool. Rather than just being for transport, it also allowed you to illuminate the road ahead of you. And now, again, cars are almost unrecognizable from the original ones, where they've got radios, they've got internet, they've got, massaging seats, they've got heating. There's all these extra features that have been added. And I think as a business, not accepting where we're headed, not even not accepting, but not allowing yourself to reap the benefits of the technology that we now have, and we have had for the last 20 years, can be really detrimental, potentially not now, but certainly in the near future. So I think moving to the cloud is a very, very important thing to do, not only for future-proofing, but also for efficiency right now, for increased profits, for increased control. And control is good and flexibility is good. And here at Kounteq, what we do is we provide an entire cloud solution. We work with government registered suppliers. We work with best-in-class software providers that, unlike some of the older ones, which kind of piece together different parts. So they might have bought up a marketing platform, they've bought up an accountancy platform, and they've bought up a stock keeping platform, and they've kind of tried to merge it. We work with companies that had an eye on the future from the very start, and rather than kind of trying to piece something together for a quick buck, they're genuinely trying to make a change, and they're genuinely trying to help businesses grow and expand. So thank you for watching this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you see some of the benefits of the cloud, and thank you for watching.